Get up to the Cessna over the threshold, coming up on the white dot, at or beyond the white dot, left turn first available. I got a high wind coming up on about a half-mile final, clear to land at or beyond. Traffic on the left face, you're following a Cessna down low off your left. Square it up just a little bit, and then we're going to get you in. Start your descent, though. Start your descent on the base. Traffic on final, give me follow on base. Base traffic, start turning toward the numbers now. High wing coming up on quarter-mile final, take it all the way down to the green. Cessna taxiing on the green, expedite down to the next hard surface. Get me some speed, there you go, 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 go fast. This is going to be good. I got traffic on a mile final. You're following traffic ahead and to your right. High wing coming up on the threshold. Take it all the way down to the green dot.
5 Charlie Sierra, 2 mile final.
A mile final, turn north, and we're going to just make you, we're going to bring you back around. Jet traffic's coming up on about a mile and a half final. Runway 9 clear to land.
Okay, all right, let's listen up, guys. If you're on final for runway 9, I want you to offset to the left. I got a jet that's landing on runway 9. The jet's cleared to land runway 9 if you can make it. If not, just continue straight ahead. It looks like you're going around for the jet. That's fine, that's fine, that's fine.
Oh, we had one right in front of us, sir.
Tail dragger. Let's see, what we got, a tricycle, put it down, tricycle, put it down, tail dragger, down to the green dot, then a left turn. Short final here, you cleared land on 9 all the way to the white dot, go down to the white dot. Find somebody to follow out here. Kennard, just come to the runway and I might have to just send you around. That'll be fine. And for the jet, you just want to stay in this pattern or you want to go back out for an instrument approach?
Stay in a pattern, Charlie Sierra.
All right, just stay with me here for a minute. And my tail dragger, let's see, over the numbers, go down to the green. And Kennard's going to have to go around. Kennard, go around. And my high wing here over the runway, keep it airborne. You do not descend. You got a fast guy behind you. Do not descend. There you go. Keep it airborne. As soon as the guy behind you gets slowed down, I'm going to put you down. So keep it airborne. The one that just passed the white dot, make a left turn on the hard surface. All right, my high wing tail dragger, you can put it down now. And Charlie Sierra, let me get you about a mile off. Let's see, Charlie Sierra, I lost. There you are. Make a left-hand turn. I'll try to resequence you here on the down ones. We'll see how it looks. Short final, you're clear to land runway 9 on the white dot. There you go. And the tricycle left on the hard surface and follow the flagman. Welcome. Thanks for being part of the show. And let's see, just find somebody to follow on the final. And as you get close to the runway, if it's not going to work, we're going to send you around and then try to resequence you. Now, who else got sent around that's not back on the down one? The Kennard?
Yeah, Kennard.
All right, Kennard, there's a Gulfstream up there that went around too. I just lost sight of him, but you're going to make kind of a left-hand turn and stay low. I think Charlie Sierra, what's your altitude?
3,200.
Okay, that'll be fine. Just maintain VFR. I don't know what else is up there above you. Probably most everybody's down here, so just make a left-hand turn. We'll try to get you back here.
Kennard's got the jet in sight.
Okay, the RV, maybe an RV-10, whatever's here on final. Keep your speed up and go all the way down to the, aim for the green dot for me. Actually, keep your speed up. There's a guy behind you. Aim for the green dot, and I'm sure that's plenty of room for you to land on runway 9. You're clear to land on runway 9. Number 2, you're going to go down to the white dot. Follow the white dot. Actually, you know what? That's 1,500 feet. You're going to land at the white dot. The spacing looks adequate here. 2 guys on final. You're kind of tight there. Keep each other in sight, and you're going to aim for the white dot. If it's not going to work, we'll come up with a plan B. We might have to send you around. The second guy behind you out there in about a 2-mile final. Are you slow enough to be able to follow that guy in front of you? You need to go around. Well, I probably shouldn't ask that because I had about 5 guys answer me, so I should know better than that after 35 years, you would think, right? All right, so let me see. The guy who's number 1, it's number 1. What kind of airplane is he? An RV type. All right, RV type. Keep it airborne for me. Keep it airborne. And I got a fast guy behind you. The number 2 guy over the trees there. Go ahead and put it down on the numbers. My first guy just coming up on the numbers at the over the grass at the numbers. I want you to keep
T-minus 1 minute and counting.
Hello.
Four, 3, 2, 1.
Hello.
Hello, everybody. How are you all doing? And welcome to this Thursday evening's live stream. I think before I forget, not that I usually forget, it's time to thank our sponsor, SkyDemon. Thank you, SkyDemon, for sponsoring this. It wouldn't be possible without you. And it's been a while since I mentioned this, but if you're one of those rare people who's never tried SkyDemon, pop over to the App Store, download a copy and give it a go. You get a 30-day free trial. So what more could you want? So I'll get back to what else is going on tonight shortly. But first of all, I'm going to play you this week's SkyDemon tip, which comes from Mr. SkyDemon himself, Tim Dawson.
Hello, I'm Tim from SkyDemon. Welcome to today's top tip.
In SkyDemon, vertical planning is very easy. If I plan a flight from Wickham Air Park up to Sywell, we can see that our main planning altitude is at 4,000 feet, but here we've got airspace starting at 3,500 feet. I'll double tap just to take the main map to this point. Here, where we exit the airspace, I'll just put a little turning point in. That way you can see the turning point here, and you can grab the leg before the turning point and just raise and lower it with your finger. I'm going to put it at 3,100 feet. This way our flight is planned at that altitude before climbing once we're free of the airspace to the final altitude. You can also press and hold and press on leg properties, and here you can change the value to whatever you like.
For more tips on how to use SkyDemon, go to skydemon.aero and choose Help and Support.
So there you go.
That is a great tip. But as Stuart Rue says, Tim is really trying to match Rob's voice there. I feel like Tim is going super sultry.
Yeah.
I think maybe we should have a voice-off, a SkyDemon voice-off. See. I can't remember what that program is on TV. What do they call it? I can't know, the Masked SkyDemoner or something.
Good tip, though. Good tip.
We'll do something at the next LAA rally. We'll have some Masked SkyDemon tips. So coming up, we have shortly a little video from Simon Keeling giving us the weather this weekend if you're planning on flying. We got a whole bunch of news, including that news about Zara, which is absolutely fantastic. I think everyone who's been following is just so happy for her tonight. We are talking to James Brown, or Johnny is talking to James Brown, the man who accidentally found himself with 2 hurricanes. I mean, how does that happen? And a whole load of other stuff, fancy hangout and all sorts of other good stuff. So without further ado, I am going to play you the weather for this weekend and see what Simon has to say.
Hi everyone, sorry I can't be with you live this evening, but hope you've managed to get a little bit of flying this week, or perhaps you're planning on flying this weekend. It doesn't actually look like being that bad. I think for most of us, we should see some flying conditions, although always, and this is going to be the complication, there could be some mist and some low cloud around. Just got to watch the threat of that. This is Friday then. High pressure is in control through the course of tomorrow. You see it centred here towards the southwest. I think there will be some morning mist and fog patches, but looks like those are going to be clearing away quite quickly. You see here, virtually nothing showing up on the visibility forecast. The green colours on there show visibility between 4 and 8 kilometres, and generally it's over high ground that we're showing that. For most areas, I think it is going to be a fairly decent afternoon. Base is probably coming in at about 3,000 feet, tops at about 6,000 feet. So that high pressure certainly doing its job. Now for Saturday, the high pressure is still with us. The air probably a little bit more moist through the course of Saturday. And I think what that will do is allow visibility just to decrease a little bit further. So you see the green colours here by midday. Yes, most of them over high ground, particularly northwest England, particularly western parts of Scotland, which are going to be close to this cold front, which may just produce 1 or 2 spots of rain. And the bases along that, probably about 1,000 to 2,000 feet, tops at about 10,000 feet. But generally, things improve. Although I do think Saturday morning for many of us will be fairly misty and fairly murky. But overall, we get into light winds. We get into bases of around 3,000 feet, tops of 5,000 feet. Once again, I do think there could be a fair amount of cloud around through Saturday. And then through Sunday, another quiet day with high pressure in control. But again, this risk of mist and fog patches, particularly on Sunday morning, slower to clear through Sunday. You'll notice there on the visibility forecast that although it's showing green colours at 4 to 8 kilometres, it's more widespread. So I do think that we see a chance of more cloud, again of some mist and of some fog through Sunday morning, but it should clear into Sunday afternoon and the winds will be light again, although stronger winds affecting the northwest of Scotland. Although even here, I think we should find some flying conditions in the afternoon, although it will be fairly breezy, as I say. So quite a quiet weekend. These details difficult to pin down. Check the latest forecast before you go flying. And of course, those of you who've been to weather school, you can use your skills that I showed you there to improve the forecast for your locality as well. If you've not been to Aviation Weather School yet, and why not, all of the schools are booked for the next sessions. But if you'd like me to tell you when I announce new dates, just send a blank email to me, simon@weatherweb.net, or go to weatherschool.co.uk. Use the contact form there, send me a message, and we'll add you onto the list to be told as a priority when those next dates are announced. It won't be that long away. You'll be forecasting yourself before you know it. Okay, I'll leave you with that for now. Whatever you're doing, have a great weekend. Hope you can get some flying in if you possibly can. And of course, I'll have the updated forecast for the week ahead and for the weekend ahead for you on Monday. I'll leave you with that for now. Have a great evening, guys, and I'll see you next week. Bye for now.
Thank you, Simon. Wow.
A few people surprised by Simon's lack of colourful shirt this time.
I think Simon went recorded because he probably didn't want us asking him again if he's gone solo or not yet. So
maybe
guessing a mixture. It's been. I mean, today was a great day, wasn't it? But
that's it. Yeah, as Paul Bell says, Mrs. K wants a bad forecast as my flying life is getting a bit out of hand.
Hey, Paul, while you're there, pop over to. Well, I'll tell you in a minute. Don't go away. Time to move on to the news, I think, and you'll understand why in a minute. Dave, I think you're up first, telling us about the biggest news there is, and it's not Zara.
Well, the biggest news there is the fact that we have a new issue of Flyer out this week. In fact, it published yesterday, Wednesday. Here it is, and you can see in the cover story is about the Rolls-Royce and Electroflight record bid. And we have an exclusive behind-the-scenes report written by Mark Greenfield, who's in the comments, I see. But Mark flew the chase plane and was involved with the team throughout the record-breaking time at Boscombe Down. And it's just a fabulous story. You really have to go and read it. So that's the cover story. The other features in the issue is the launch of Fly 2022, which we sort of announced here last week, but in the magazine we've launched it this week with members of the flying team and various friends of the mag giving their flying plans for 2022. So there's all sorts of people writing in there, giving some ideas. Some of the big events happening this year. We did ask Paul Kidell to write a bit for us, but Paul came back and said, "Sorry, I'm too busy flying." So anyway, we'll get around to that. The flying adventure this month is a flex wing. We don't often have flex wing microlights in the magazine, but Jeff Hall flew his Quick R around Kent, where he lives, and get some stunning photographs of Kent as it was going through autumn. In Top Gear, we've reviewed, Ed has reviewed a thing called a quad lock, which is a very handy alternative method of mounting a phone in your aeroplane. And you've used it in particular on your RV8, haven't you, Ed?
Yeah, Brian. It was the Top Gear test. We used it to it's a system of components, and we use it to put a phone running SkyDemon in the back seat of the RV. So see how I got on with those bits in the night.
Also in Top Gear, there's a review of something called telemetry overlay, and I can't even say it, let alone understand too much what it's about. But Johnny did that, so perhaps Johnny, you just give us 20 words on what it means.
20 words, yeah. So if you've got a bit of GoPro footage and a GPS file, you can marry them together, and it will display instruments on the video footage. And even better, if you've got Garmin equipment, you can get the proper data. So pressure, altitude, indicated airspeed, all of that kind of thing.
Cool.
Oh. So great issue. It's available now. There's a link somewhere around, but if you go to the website, you can click on it on the front page. There we are. There's the link.
There's a link.
There you go. And the bit I was going to talk about with Paul Kidell is in my column this month. I kind of I think I want to have invented a new type of flying. We talk about bimbling and aerobatics and all that kind of stuff, but I think there should also be a Kidell, someone who's done a Kidell, which is basically going and flying around some gorgeous countryside with your mates, which he seems to do pretty much relentlessly at the moment. So hopefully a bunch of us will get a chance to go and do a Kidell this weekend.
Yes. 5.6 hours today, Paul. You're going to wear that aeroplane out.
Really? Outrageous. Right. I think it's time for the next news story, which Johnny's going to tell us about. It's a bit of a Zara one.
Yeah, and the usual question is, where is Zara? And she is at home. So she's done it. 32,000 odd miles, 52 countries. I think she's flown into or over. She's finally made it back. She got back into the airfield that we call Bubblegum, I think, earlier this afternoon, with 4 of the SF-260s from the Belgian Air Component on her wing. So she's completed it, and damn well done to her. It's been an amazing achievement. A lot of kind of stoppages along the way due to weather, but the aircraft seems to have performed really well. She's made some pretty decent looking decisions, and she's definitely matured as a pilot from what we've seen talking to her throughout the journey. So yeah, well done, Zara.
Absolutely. I was watching the live stream this morning. I had a kind of like Flight Radar 24 plus the live stream, which I went out at a critical time but came back. So I put together just a very short version of the live stream, probably only a few 20 odd seconds or so, that they were taking at Wivelgum earlier on today. So here you go.
Baba, I'm still connected. Where do I carry on? I'm not sure. Do I give it to someone? If we just look at it.
My goodness.
So, did you notice the guy with the least subtle promotional flag there? Waving.
Yeah, Mr. Safe Skies, just wave that flag in front of the camera. As Mike Lanham says, Zara might be the only person to beat Paul in terms of hours flown in the last 6 months. What an incredible achievement.
Yeah, absolutely.
19 years old.
And we're certainly planning to get Zara back on here. Maybe do a live stream special with Zara telling us all about it, and hopefully a couple of other things that we've got planned that not yet fully gelled. So we'll keep you informed with those when they do gel a little bit more. So that's bloody good news. So Ed, Rolls-Royce record.
Yes, but great, but not unexpected news. The world speed record set by Rolls-Royce's Spirit of Innovation electric aircraft in conjunction with Electriflight have been officially verified. There's the beautiful machine itself. The FAI, the World Air Sports Federation that controls and certifies world aeronautical records, confirmed 2 of the records, which was the top speed of 345 miles an hour over a 3-kilometer course, breaking the previous record by 132 miles an hour, and the 15-kilometer run, which was a top speed of 330 miles an hour, which was 182 miles an hour faster than the previous record flown by. The first record was flown by Rolls Chief Test Pilot Phil O'Dell, and the second by Steve Jones. Ian, I think you've got a clip of the 345 mile an hour run, haven't you?
I have indeed. Here you go.
interesting there that still lots of the noise is propeller.
Absolutely. Yeah, so a great story, and a great feature in the magazine. Go download it after this and have a good read if you haven't read it already. That brings us on to the next story, which is less of a great story, really, which is all to do with the planning permission, the outline planning permission that was given to the upcoming gigafactory at Coventry. Personally, I'd be happy to wager at least a fiver on the fact that there will never ever be a gigafactory built on Coventry Airport, and that actually after a while, given that there's not even a gigafactory person interested at the moment anyway, I'm sure it'll end up just as a kind of light mixed industrial place, housing and all sorts of other things. So rather than the gigafactory, and it actually got mentioned in the House of Parliament at PMQs while they were talking about, after they got bored of talking about garden parties and who was where and who was drinking what and all the rest of it, someone came up and spoke about this. So I have got a little clip just in case you're wondering, but I did edit it down. You don't have to sit through a whole bloody hour of PMQs. Anyway, here you go.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Following on from the excellent news on the economy and jobs, the Prime Minister will remember my question to him last June about proposals for a gigafactory in Coventry. Last week, local councils granted outline planning permission to create 6,000 new skilled jobs, to secure many thousands of others, inject £2.5 billion into our local economy and level up across our region. With fast rising demand for greener and cleaner electric cars, may I ask him for his support to ensure the swift delivery of this vitally important project?
I thank my honourable friend for campaigning for this wonderful project, and we are supporting the electric vehicle industry. Will be made another £350 million available through the Automotive Transformation Fund, on top of the £500 million commitment that we've already made in the 10-point plan. And I know that the campaign for Coventry Airport is an excellent one. I look forward to seeing how it develops.
Not just got the wrong campaign for Coventry Airport there.
Yeah. So the chances of 6,000 jobs in a gigafactory, I reckon, are, well, to be political, about as much the chance as Boris Johnson's got to be in PM for the next election, I reckon. But,
Ed Branch Apps is hitting send on that memo going about the airfield. It's an important part of our GA infrastructure.
Yeah. Anyway, that's a bit of a pain in the backside, to say the least. Talking of sad stories, Dave, you're following up with the next sad story, I believe.
Yes, Enstrom Helicopter has announced this week that it's closing immediately. It's filed for bankruptcy, and Enstrom has been in production for 64 years, making small helicopters, piston engine and a couple of turbines, mostly used for training, police, and special missions. You might say, why doesn't a Chinese company come along and buy it and put some money in? Well, actually, a Chinese company does own it. A Chinese company bought it back in 2014, and they haven't actually said what they're doing about it, whether they're going to sell it or what. The president of the company, an American, he did say that there are some people interested in the assets. Apart from anything else, there are 1,300 helicopters, Enstrom helicopters out there, which will need parts and support. So there's a business there to supplying parts and support.
Yeah. It's a shame, isn't it? It is a shame, and I think I was just looking up earlier. They're actually, today is their last day in business, January 20th, before they go into bankruptcy, and I guess we'll find out and see what happens. I think there's probably enough Enstroms around for it to be worth someone's while to make parts and provide the support for it. So
let's hope.
But always sad when that happens. Okay, what's the next story? Johnny.
Yeah, so more planning, but this is a good one in a way. So Truro airfield owner Graham Barrell, he's resubmitted plans. He'd submitted plans to the council to build 17 rental holiday homes on the airfield, which pilots could use. They had to withdraw the plans because the council said they looked too much like residential buildings. So he's redone it, sent it all in again. But crucially, last time he got a lot of really good support from flyer readers and viewers. So if you can, go to the website, look for the Truro news story, and there's a link to add your comments of support to the plan. And that'll be a really good thing to do. It'd be great, turn it into an even better airfield if you can go there and stay, and it's a good part of Cornwall. So the more support we can give Graham, the better.
Have you just alienated part of Cornwall by suggesting there's a good part?
Oh God.
It's not all good in Cornwall. There's some great parts of Cornwall, and there's some interesting parts of Cornwall.
But it's all good. But yes, support Truro.
Yeah, absolutely. Support Truro. Right, Dave, you going green?
I'm going green, yes. This is a story about, we're starting out with Stain Pilot Insurance offering free carbon offsetting to new customers for their first year. Now, it prompted me, in particular, to ask the company offering the carbon offsetting, General Aviation Carbon Offsetting is the name of it, GACO. I sort of asked them a few questions just to find out a bit more about it. They're all on the website in a story. But one of the questions I asked them was, what do you say to critics who say that carbon offsetting is simply greenwash? For instance, Greta Thunberg even called carbon offset schemes a dangerous climate lie. So you can imagine that's a pretty loaded question to put to them. But the guy who started it all, Oliver Foster Pollard, he gave some pretty robust answers, which you can read on the website. So,
yeah. Okay. Talking of electric flight, in that case, it's a nice little segue into electric flight for Ed's next item for this slightly bonkers thing.
I want to say flying saucer news, as Ian puts the photo up. Is there a photo?
It's a quiet video. Should we talk over the video?
You can. I tell you what, run the quiet video, and I'll give you the flying saucer news. So this is the news that Ziva has flown its zero emissions electric vertical aircraft, the Zero. It's made the first untethered flights. Now, if you see something that looks like a head inside that, that's because there's like a dummy person inside it. The vehicle is designed so that you stand inside it, it takes off vertically, lands vertically, but then flies in a horizontal mode, obviously presenting you as the pilot passenger in a kind of prone position, which is going to be really exciting, I would think. So anyway, the company is aiming for FAA certification, and the uncrewed Ziva demonstrator aircraft completed 4 flights, totaling more than 4 minutes of controlled hovering. So the compact airframe is designed for a single pilot, and they say it's small enough to park in a standard car parking spot. It'll cruise at 160 miles an hour for a range of 50 miles, optimizing point-to-point travel, they say. And good news, if you're looking at that going, oh my God, I must have one of those, they're suggesting that they might start accepting deposits for as little as $5,000 as early as spring this year. So the price tag for the first unit's a mere $250,000.
Wow. Okay,
sorry, have I understood that correctly? It turns through 90 degrees to fly.
Oh yeah. So you fly kind of edge on. So you jump into, you kind of stood up in it, and then you transition to horizontal flight. So you're flying head first.
Ed, how do you know that you're flying? I mean, you're flying head first, but you don't. Which way up are you? You could be like looking at the sky all the time, couldn't you?
Well, that's true. A, you'd want to make sure you climb into it correctly, and B, you definitely wouldn't want to jump into it and go in head first. Otherwise, you'd be flying kind of arse first. That would be terrible, wouldn't it? So, but yeah, you definitely want to get. It's one of those aeroplanes you need to get into correctly. So, yeah, interestingly, there was years and years ago there was a NASA project, and they came up with something similar to this as a personal transport vehicle. And someone has made it reality. So new and exciting ways to fly. Try and avoid saying new and exciting ways to kill yourself. So
when I was looking at the website, there was quite a few pop-ups and stuff came up encouraging people to get further information should they want to invest in the project.
Wow.
So you never know that you could get in early. You could make an absolute fortune. On the other hand, you could lose everything. And I know which I think is more likely.
But if it works, what a unique way to turn up at a fly-in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm not sensing a great deal of enthusiasm for this.
No.
I don't understand why they just didn't put the wheels on the side, on the flat side. And
but that would be terrifying, because you'd like, well, A, it's got big rotors, so that would be an instant fail, Dave. But you'd be taking off, and your face would be like 2 inches from the ground. It would be nightmarish.
That whole project's frankly a little bit mad, I think.
Yep.
Right, we're nearly at the end of the news. So just the last thing in the news, which is go and have a look in the issue. Go read the 2022 in 2022, which is our plan for people to go and fly at least 2,022 hours in the year 2022.
Minutes.
Minutes.
Yes.
Sorry, I was talking about Paul
not in 2022 hours.
No, it was Paul Kidell, I meant.
Yeah.
He can do that, can't he? So where's my little... There you go. So another thing that's just been launched that perfect, that could tie in with this really nicely is the Police Dawn to Dusk competition. So it's International Dawn to Dusk competition. Wherever you are, go and find out more information on that. And why not enter? This would be a great way of finding a good way of using up some of your 2022 minutes in 2022. And so you go and find something for the Dawn to Dusk competition. You go and find something interesting to do, and you go and fly that flight between the hours of dawn and dusk, as it were. And you write up a log and you submit the log, and then a whole load of very esteemed judges sit down and judge your entry, and then you go to an awards dinner in London. It's fantastic. So I'm looking forward to the awards dinner in February. So go and have a look at the Pooley's Dawn to Dusk competition. It's a historic competition, a great competition, and all sorts of fascinating entries, and a great way of combining it with Fly 2022 in 2022. So at that point,
Graham Park has twigged that if you're doing the maths at the moment on the whole 2022, have you changed the Fly Club membership to £750 a quarter?
I reckon if it was £750 a quarter, there probably wouldn't be quite as many people belonging as there are now.
No.
Would be my guess. The whole price elasticity thing. Anyway, enough of that wibble. I think it's time to bring in James. Hello, James. And let me just work this out. If I move you to the top left and then hit the button here,
you get to be the big guest. There we go.
There you go. You're the big
Great.
guest.
Good evening.
Good evening. Over to you, Johnny.
Yeah, thank you for joining us, James. At pretty short notice. It's great that you've stepped in and we can have a chat. So your company is Hurricane Heritage, or one of your companies, and what we're going to talk about is Hurricane Heritage. Can you just give us a bit of background on the company and how it started?
Yeah, so look, I guess it all started back in 2015 when I was found myself in the position where I could acquire R418, the Mark I Hurricane. And part of the goal with the organization was to, I guess, raise the profile of the Hurricane, the unsung hero of the Battle of Britain, and an aircraft that I've personally loved for as long as I can remember. So it felt like it was high time that an organization spent a bit of time and effort really publicizing the great work that the aeroplane had done and the fact that we have some amazing Hurricanes here in the UK, one of which is R4, Mark I, and B505, which we'll talk about later on, I'm sure. So it really is geared up to raise the profile of that aircraft and make it accessible.
Yeah, absolutely. And in terms of the R4118, how did you come to find out about it, and how did you come to acquire it?
Funnily enough, reading your magazine was the initial entry point, I suppose. I was on a flight. I've run software companies for many years. There it is. And I was on a flight from the UK to the US. I had a couple of glasses of wine. I was reading that article. And I guess the premise of the article was, could a PPL fly a Hurricane? And in short, the answer was yes. And in a small box at the end of the article, there was a note saying it was for sale. Peter Vasher was the guy, as we all know, who had discovered the aircraft, brought it back from India and rebuilt it. And I, in, I guess, my slightly inebriated state, thought, well, I'll just ping a quick email over to Peter and see what happens. And that, I guess, that's the beginning of a very long story. So Peter responded. He said, why don't you come and visit me and sit in the aeroplane? And believe me, once you've done that, there's no way back. It's you are absolutely fully committed. So I don't regret a second, but I have you to blame for it.
So in the process of getting it, did you elicit help in terms of inspecting it. You've got to do your due diligence and that sort of thing. And obviously, coming from Peter Vasher, it's going to be well looked after. But how do you assure yourself that what you're committing to is good?
Yeah, I mean, it's a little difficult. I did get it inspected. We spent time with a number of engineers looking at the airframe, at the engine, doing all the things you'd normally do for pre-purchase inspection. And I also spoke to a handful of Warbird pilots to say, look, this is what I'm thinking of doing. And at the time, I think I had probably 500 hours of Cessna and Piper time. And so I really wanted to test this idea that, is it really viable that someone like me could even contemplate flying the aeroplane? So having established that from an engineering standpoint, the aeroplane was in pretty good condition, and really chatting to a few people about whether it was a viable proposition at all, I satisfied myself on both counts, and we went forward from there. But I guess, when you sit in it for the first time, especially if you're used to flying modern nose-wheel aircraft, it's a pretty daunting prospect. You are 8 feet off the ground. You've got recognizable instruments, clearly, but no modern aids. So it really was an interesting process to work through how you deconstruct your flying and get to a position where you can sit in a single-seater fighter and go off and, reasonably confidently take it airborne.
Mm. And you've been doing quite a bit of interesting flying with the aeroplane since then. How, what gives you the confidence to take it into some of the places that you have taken it into? Is it just a sturdy, solid aeroplane that you understand and trust?
Yeah, look, I think I've taken the approach of making sure that I never scare myself. So all of this has been small incremental steps. Right from my first tailwheel experience down at Clacton in a Cub, right the way through the training process from Cub to Chipmunk to Harvard to Hurricane. I've spent hundreds of hours building up that tailwheel experience to get to the point that flying the Hurricane wasn't too terrifying, although inevitably it comes with a certain amount of apprehension. And I think from there on in, my initial goal was simply to fly the aircraft. So I flew it in and out of Duxford a lot. Then the next step was fly it to White Waltham. I know White Waltham really well, so try to keep the new elements of the flying as small as possible. So go somewhere I'm really familiar with, and just gradually built up that experience of flying A to B, generally to places that I knew, but gradually extending that. And actually, quite a lot of the flying that I've done when we've gone to new places, has been with a bunch of guys at White Waltham. All of whom are flying interesting aircraft. So we've got RVs, we've got Harvard, we've got all sorts of other things, and going off to airfields where we're planning those trips together. And I'm coming along on the Hurricane, so that's been a lot of fun. And going to some places where they just don't see warbirds. So I remember we took the aeroplane up to Kirkbride, which was about as close as you can get to where it was first delivered to 605 Squadron in Drem in 1940, the whole village, it sounded like they came out. There must have been 100 people there to see the aeroplane, which was just a real thrill to share it with people up there. So it's just been a lot of fun and baby steps all the way through, really.
Yeah. Now I don't know if you probably will remember this, but I think it was May 2020. You dropped into Charlton Park in Wiltshire, and again, as you said, so many people were there. To greet you, and there was a noticeable. There was a bunch of airplanes. I think there was Mike Collett in the Harvard and a few other guys. But how does, in terms of running the business, Hurricane Heritage, how does that translate into sort of keeping it a going concern and letting other people experience the aeroplane?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think from my point of view, this. The R418, I don't think will ever be a profitable exercise. So to that extent, Hurricane Heritage is very much about making sure that I'm fortunate enough to be the custodian of this aircraft, but making sure that we give as many people as possible an opportunity to see it at their home airfields, now to see it in air displays. And clearly, doing air displays creates a certain amount of income. It's great fun as well. So it makes a contribution to the aircraft. But I feel very fortunate that I have custodianship of the aeroplane, and if we can do a few things that generate a few pennies along the way to help fund the aircraft, then that's absolutely brilliant. So
yeah,
from that aeroplane's point of view, that really the goal is to enjoy it. Hopefully, other people enjoy it along the way as well.
Yes, and so you've got plans for a new aeroplane, haven't you, for this year? So can you give us a bit of insight into what's happening there?
I've got shivers going down my spine as you just even bring it up. So BE 505, a Mark 12 Hurricane, the world's only two-seat Hurricane, will be joining the fleet. There it is. It's having its annual right now. So in the next few weeks, it'll finish its annual. It's at Elmsett at Hawker Restorations right now, and it'll be joining us based out of White Waltham for the flying season. And we're now offering two-seat trips in that aeroplane, which would just be a huge thrill for everybody at Hurricane Heritage, everyone at White Waltham I know, and in that area, and for people who are going to be able to fly in it and experience the Hurricane firsthand. I'm thrilled for them. It's very, very exciting.
Yeah. So are you taking bookings at the moment? And sorry, have people actually booked? Have you got a waiting list of people that are waiting?
Yeah, I think we opened the website and the bookings just before Christmas. We've had lots and lots of interest, lots of bookings already. I mean, clearly it's a really unique proposition. And what I love about it is that in profile, it is identical to the single-seater. So whilst we all love the two-seat Spitfires, and there are many of them around, obviously, as you know, you move the forward cockpit forward by one frame to accommodate the rear cockpit, and the profile of the aircraft is a little bit different. This Hurricane is, I think, as true to the original as it could possibly be. So not only is it the world's only two-seat Hurricane, but it also actually, I think, looks just like the original single-seater, which is really exciting.
Yeah, we were commenting on that earlier. So when people fly in the airplane, will it be with yourself, or have you got a group of pilots that'll be flying it?
It'll be a group of pilots, actually. So in order to do SSANC, Safety Standards Acknowledgement and Consent flying, you need a commercial license. Now, I don't have one. I've got lots of hours flying the Hurricane, but we'll be using commercial pilots with lots and lots of warbird experience to run these flights. So I hope at some point I'll get to fly it, but I think for now it'll be very much, and certainly the SSANC flights will be in the hands of professionals.
Can you give us an indication? I know it is on your website, but an indication of cost?
Yeah, so flights, the 30-minute experience, that's block-to-block experience, start at 2,875. So we've tried to price it competitive.
We lost James.
She'll get you down to the Needles and other things as well. So we can fly the Harvard alongside, and in the future, probably our Form 18 alongside as well. So you name it, if you want a Hurricane, two Hurricanes, Hurricane Harvard, any combination of the above, then we're hoping to be able to offer that to people as well.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. Have we got any questions in the comments, chaps? I've not had any.
Well, I've got a question while you look in the comments. James, it was last, I think 2021 was your first season displaying, wasn't it?
It was, yeah.
How was that?
It was great fun. It is I mean, for me, certainly, it adds an extra layer of stress. Being absolutely on time for your slot and to attend the briefings and do all of those things. I loved every minute of it. I absolutely am at the beginning of the learning curve. But I think it also made me appreciate what a huge privilege it is to be able to jump in the airplane and fly it without any of that stress off to White Waltham or Kirkbride or Peterborough or wherever I happen to be going. So I love the display flying. I'm really looking forward to doing some more of it this year. But it's a whole other level of excitement, I have to say.
Fantastic.
I've got a question for you, James. You were talking about the kind of very gentle baby steps, iterative process from a J3 Chipmunk, Harvard, and then the Hurricane. But at some point, you get out of the Harvard and the next time you get into an airplane is probably going to be into the Hurricane. And with a single seat, that you can't reduce the size of that step anymore.
Yeah.
So when what's it like when you're sitting there with your chunk of historically important and fairly expensive machinery sitting there, throttle in your left hand, I'm guessing, at the threshold? I don't know. If it was me, I'd be going up, don't fuck up, don't screw up, don't get it wrong, I'd be saying, or something.
Exactly. That's exactly what you do, Ian. You can't remove that step. What you can do is remove everything up to that step. So I did lots of engine starts, lots of taxiing. Duxford were incredibly accommodating with me just taxiing up and down the taxiways. We put the aircraft on jacks, raised the undercarriage, went through the emergency drills, spent hours and hours in the cockpit just doing that. So you are left, though, then with that last step, which is you're at the threshold and you apply the power and off you go. I'd been briefed by Stu Goldspink. So Stu is, I'm sure, the world's most experienced Hurricane pilot and was just incredibly generous with his time to be with me for those first few flights. I also, and I'll never forget this, was briefed by Archie McInnes. Archie McInnes was a Battle of Britain Hurricane pilot who was there on the day that I flew it for the first time. So I had their words of wisdom in my mind. But you're right, at some point you apply the power, it's +3 boost in the Hurricane Mark 1, and you're airborne. That aeroplane, well, every Hurricane has a gear limiting speed of 120 miles an hour. And believe me, that comes up very, very quickly. So you've got one eye on the airspeed indicator, you're swapping hands. So your left hand goes from the throttle to the spade grip. Your right hand goes down to the gear to lift the undercarriage. And there's for me at least on my first flight, a whole load of porpoising that's going on as you're trying to juggle those things and raise the undercarriage. So taking off was actually fine, but you then have the realization that you've created a hell of a problem for yourself because you're now at 3,000 feet at 200 miles an hour and you've got to land it. So that's the exciting bit, but that went fine actually. But that's the. So
your first landing was back at Duxford, presumably.
Yeah. It was. So. Yeah.
So what sort of speeds are you looking at? So climbing out at what sort of speed?
Gear limiting is 120. Probably climbing at about 100, 150, 160. Cruise is about 200 miles an hour. Just positive boost, about 1900 RPM. VNE is 380, and for the aerobatic routine that I've been doing at these air shows, entry speed for a loop's about 300 miles an hour, and that big thick wing in a Hurricane, the root is about 18 inches thick. You've got to point at the ground and give yourself 1,000 feet to get to 300 miles an hour. So it takes a while, and it gets very, very noisy.
That must feel quite counterintuitive as well.
Yeah. So again, I started doing all of this very, very high and slowly lowered it. And actually, my aerobatic floor for displays is 1,000 feet. So it's not low. And trying to keep everything, as I've said before, as baby steps. But it's been a lot of fun. One of the things that R418 does, which is a bit unusual, is that particularly as you you go to the top in the loop, the airplane begins to tuck itself in a little bit. It's unstable in pitch. So you actually find yourself pushing as you're coming out of the bottom of the loop, which is a slightly strange experience. But once you've done it a couple of times, you get the hang of it. But it's a slightly odd experience.
And approach speeds when you're going back into Waltham, what's your typical profile for that?
Well, sort of downwind, again, gear limiting speeds 120, so you're slowing down to 120, and then slowing down at the end of the downwind leg onto base. Final is 90 miles an hour. So it's actually not dissimilar from the Harvard. The Harvard's 80. And actually the Harvard is just an incredible model for flying the Hurricane. In many respects, power to weight ratio and a lot of the airspeeds are pretty similar. So I've got to say, I've been very lucky to have had the ability to put as many hours on the Harvard as I did before I flew the Hurricane. I think I had about 200 hours in the Harvard before flying the Hurricane, and that just every minute in that aeroplane pays back. And I'm flying it again this weekend, actually. The Hurricane, as I said, is in for its annual. So I'm hoping to fly Saturday and Sunday from Waltham and just begin to really build the hours and confidence back up again before the Hurricane's available to fly.
What are you burning in terms of fuel in the cruise then?
For the Hurricane, it's somewhere around 35 gallons an hour. It can be more depending on the power that you use, the power setting you're using. But in a sort of economy cruise, it's about 35 to 40 gallons an hour. So the carbon offset offer that insurer you mentioned, there'd be a lot of trees planted.
You should grab yourself a year's worth of life insurance through Stein, and then they'll pay the carbon offset for the first year.
There'll be whole new forests around the south of England, I suspect.
That's it, yeah. Talking of insurance, is it? Where do you go to get? You go, hello, I've got a Hawker Hurricane. I need insurance.
Yeah. I use Hayward's as many of us do. Okay. So and they provide they're really good. And if we need to change some of the insurance limits for various displays and things, then a quick call to Nigel has often resulted in a very quick response. So they've been fabulous, actually.
Brilliant.
Fantastic. What's next?
Just enjoying it more. I mean, we're just thrilled to have the two-seater come along. So that's going to be really great fun. And I think one of the great things about the Hurricane is just seeing the enjoyment other people get from it. So we're going to have plenty of opportunity to see that as people fly in that aeroplane. Personally, I'm looking forward to doing some more display flying. And there are infinite numbers of steps there in terms of formation display authorizations, tail chase display authorizations, all those other things. So just gradually building it up and hopefully enjoying a lot more flying this summer and building more confidence in the aeroplane.
Brilliant. Well, I think we all look forward to seeing you out and about the places.
Yeah.
You'll have to come to a flyer club flying with the aeroplane.
Love to.
That would be
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, James. It's been amazing.
Well, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
We look forward to seeing you. And when you've got some spare capacity in your two-seater, maybe we can have a discount for Flyer Club members.
I think it'll take a while to get spare capacity for that.
Exactly, with chock-a-block, but we'd love to hear from your Flyer Club members. That's for certain. We're at hurricaneheritage.com, so come take a look around.
Fantastic.
You know where it is, people. hurricaneheritage.com. Fantastic. Thank you very much.
Thank you. My pleasure. Thanks for having me. Take care, guys.
James. It must be time for.
I just wondered whether I was going to be quick enough off the mark to get a Hurricane Heritage link from the website. So you'll just have to there we go, to go in the comments. There we go, in the comments, a link to the Hurricane Heritage website. What a great guest.
Yes. That was a great interview, isn't it? So so approachable, down to earth. Great.
Well, and we were talking about this in the green room before we went live, and it's I remember putting that article together, and you never think that you almost as a joke, you put the aeroplane is for sale, contact here. You never ever think that actually a reader is going to read the magazine and go, yeah, brilliant, I'll do that. So probably one of the highlights of editing the mag was when I heard that happened. So
I'm glad I got the warning from him about once you sit in it, that's it. There's no going back. So be careful. Be careful which airplanes you sit in.
Yeah, I go along and sit in it and go, well, I haven't got any of the money to pay for it, but apparently I'm committed to it now. So will you take a kidney and maybe an easy payment scheme?
Yeah. Do you do power by the hour?
That's it. Yeah.
Anyway,
fancy hangar. So after hearing the brilliant news that Rolls-Royce's electric speed records have been ratified by the FAI, that got us thinking where Rolls began. They made some truly fantastic piston engines. And so we thought, what aeroplane would we choose for our fancy hangar powered by Rolls-Royce? Now, there's one proviso here. It would be too obvious to pick a Hurricane or a Spitfire, those aeroplanes powered by the Merlin. And they've been fancy hangar choices in the past. So we ruled those out. So who's first?
Me.
Ian, what did you go for?
So talking of Duxford, I was at Duxford at some stage in the past. I can't remember when there was a display going on, and I was watching the Hawker Hart display at Duxford, and I think it's an absolutely gorgeous airplane. I believe it lives at Old Warden, doesn't it, the Hawker Hart?
Yes.
And that's powered by a Rolls-Royce Kestrel engine. I just think that's a cracking looking airplane, and I want to have a go in one, but I don't think that's going to happen. But nonetheless, that's a beautiful airplane, and it would be part of my fantasy hangar. It's not maybe this. I don't mean this to come across at all arrogantly, but it doesn't look outrageously intimidating like some aircraft could. Just a bit intimidating. So there you go. Hawker Hart for me.
I think what's interesting with that one is if you go back to the picture and then imagine that aeroplane without the top wing and put a bubble canopy on it and retract the undercarriage, and you've got a Hurricane.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. No, but it's a gorgeous airplane, and the display. It was flown by Anna Walker, but it was a really, really nice display. Really nice display. And ever since then, I thought, cracking airplane. So I've stood at Old Warden and wondered if anyone had noticed if I just popped over and gave it a quick. But I didn't. I resisted. It was okay. But cracking airplane. So which brings us to Johnny.
Yeah,
kind
so
of done with picture quality, I must admit.
That's all right. Well, and technically, and aeroplane, because the Hawker Demon, which is what I've picked, is basically the successor to the Hawker Hart. So yeah, it just had a slightly more powerful engine, a slightly different rear turret, but still powered by the Kestrel. I think it was a gorgeous looking airplane. Again, I saw this at I saw it displaying at Old Warden. Just thought it looked great. The way that the front half of it's all been polished up nicely.
Yeah,
it looks great. You can go and see it there. As with most of these things, actually, it's quite funny. All of these are listed on the BAE Systems website as though they are BAE Systems airplanes.
Current product.
Yeah.
Call us today to order one.
And I'm not sure if it is, but one day
looking for a spark plug.
Yeah.
Rolls-Royce Kestrel.
Yeah.
I think one day they will claim the Spitfire as the BAE Systems Spitfire.
Maybe so.
But beautiful looking machine.
Yeah. So,
Ed.
Me.
So time for you to tell us what's winning this week.
What's winning? Well, not necessarily guaranteed, though. Someone did say, Darren Lewington said it's going to take something special from Ed this week, and it's already been suggested in the comments. But I picked the fabulous and achingly beautiful de Havilland Hornet. I mean, if you walked into a hangar and saw this waiting for you, it would stop you in your tracks. It's a wooden aeroplane, just like the Mosquito, but this kind of makes the Mosquito look like a flabby brother. It's powered by two Rolls-Royce Merlin 130 engines, max speed 413 knots, 230 knots, easy cruise, 5,000 feet per minute climb rate, 1,300 nautical mile range. What a stunning machine. And single-seater, it's as the transition is, if I jump in that from the RV3, the cockpit's going to feel vaguely similar. I've right to the point I will absolutely terrify myself. So
yeah,
you look terrified in that picture, Ed.
Yeah, I know you said it looked like me in this, but that poor chap in that. I mean, before the advent of headsets, he's going completely deaf from his two matching Merlins.
Well, I think Eric
sadly, at the moment there are no Hornets. There's parts in existence. Interestingly, there is a project in New Zealand, where they tend to create Mosquitoes out of thin air with brilliant work. There's a project in New Zealand to recreate one, and I think that's going to be, I don't know what the timeline on that is, but what an incredible thing that will be to have that. So Captain, who suggested the de Havilland Hornet, has gone a bit mental.
Edwin's. Yeah, Winkle said the Hornet was an absolutely stonking airplane. Absolutely loved it. He was doing some development work on perhaps carrier landings with it.
That's it. I read a comment as part of the just getting wise to it today, and there was two remarks from Winkle Brown. One, he said that he could shut one engine down and aerobat it, and it would stay up. It would compete with any of the single seat fighters. And he said the other thing he liked to do was to put it into a dive with max power, and then feather the engines, which I guess involved shutting it down and then looping the aeroplane. So that makes me want to reach for his book and go and read that chapter, because that sounds amazing. But
you should try that with the RV.
Aeroplane. I think it's. Sometimes I pick things and I go, well, I'm not sure that's going to be a win, but I think that's going to be hard to beat. But I know Dave is last to go, so I'm fearful that Dave is going to. Yeah, exactly, Chris. Can Dave put something out of the bag?
I've tried to help Dave on this one, so I've created
Dave's got his winner's face on.
Ready?
Challenge. I've looked at all the ones that you've chosen, and I thought they're all impossible to fly unless you've got thousands of hours, and they're going to cost £1 million a second just to operate. And in the case of yours, Ed, it doesn't exist. So, so I've gone for the sensible choice, I have to admit. But also, it's a lovely aeroplane. I've flown the Aerobat quite a few times, and it's a beautiful little aeroplane. So I've chosen the Reims Cessna 150 Aerobat, which has the Rolls-built Continental O240 engine, 130 horsepower. Here's a very particularly lovely example. And the Aerobat had reinforced airframes over the standard 150 to allow some aeros. It's a simple, economical, robust little aircraft. You can have a lot of flying. It won't break the bank, and it's a Rolls-Royce. Yes, I agree with Mark.
Well. Yeah.
True.
I thought I'd help swing it for you with a little video presentation there, Dave, but clearly some people are just taking the mickey.
That's it. Mark Greenfield has called me out. He's like, the whole remark is like RV3 single-seater, Ed, similar, like Concorde would be similar.
Yeah. So has anyone got any other suggestions in there that are...
looking at the comments, Chris Winch says Mosquito, good choice. What else have we got? Dave White says Western Whirlwind comes in at number 2, but Beaufighter clearly. I think the Beaufighter, there was a Merlin-powered Beaufighter, good choice. But Mark Greenfield, prior to calling you the winner, Dave, says, Hornet, great shout. Nick Allen says, I was about to say Hornet. B said, Ed's winning. Dave White says, standard response, 3A, Ed wins. Nick Allen says, proper fantasy because there are none left. Mike reminds me that the Hornet wouldn't be here without the Mosquito first.
What about?
As the weeks progress, Ed's talking himself into a twin rating. That is true, Kia. Yes. Yeah. Michael
Pengelly
is going to be an Aerobat. Says, "Come on, Dave, you can do it." But I've got to say, I think I might win. Oh, Dave gets the award for brave suggestions.
I can kind of see where Dave's coming from.
Yes, yeah, it is achievable. Sometimes you need achievable goals. Me, I'd just be a fiery pile of wreckage, probably.
Yeah, but it is a fantasy, isn't it, as well?
It is, yeah. I may just have it just to stand it in the corner of the hangar and just look at it and polish it and go, no, I'm still not insured on it.
What, the Aerobat?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
Pete Pengelly, an obvious one. The just like the electric. Well, obviously Rolls-Royce is going back a long, long time ago, and that one of the things that inspired the whole electric racer record thing, the Supermarine S5, the Schneider Trophy-winning aeroplane, powered by the amazing Rolls-Royce R engine that evolved into the Merlin. So,
I wonder if there was a feature in magazines about that then.
Sorry?
I wonder if there was a feature in the back in the day about the S5 in a magazine or something.
Oh yeah, maybe. Almost certainly. Clive's gone for the big multi-engine solution, a Shuttleworth, a Shackleton with 4 Griffin engines. So,
wow.
Yes.
Wow.
Claire B says Dave would win if it was called Reality Hangar.
we had a few ideas the other day on some changes to Fantasy Hangar coming up. So you expect to see some fantasy pairings, as it were. So we'll be looking at those at some point in the future. Right. I think having won again, Ed, it's probably time to move over to Johnny's just to tell everybody how they can be a winner if they're not already.
Yes, unless has Dave got any events or not?
Do we do events first? Oops.
The only one I was going to mention was the open workshop at Shuttleworth on the 18th to the 20th of February. But so if you want to go to that, it's a great event. I went to one once, and you need to book a ticket in advance.
Fantastic.
Good stuff. Right. So we'll have hopefully Dave Barrell next week will be on for a bit of a webinar / kind of talk about his ditching in Poole Harbour and Stearman. He gave a talk about it in at Shobden last week, which apparently was really well attended. So it'd be good to get Flyer Club members inside scoop on that. And also I've agreed with Bruce Buglas at Slape to hold a late summer fly-in on the 17th of September. That's listed in the magazine as well. So we'll organise a couple more in the spring and summer. But we thought we'd get Slate back in the diary because we had a good event there last year. So we stuck that in after the LAA rally. So there's something else to look forward to before autumn sets in. And
clearly, after tonight's interview, you're going to have to organise a nice Flyer Club fly-in venue so that James can bring the Hurricane along.
Well, it sounds like he can take the Hurricane pretty much anywhere he wants. So we could do it at Lideway.
We could. Oh, that's why I asked how much runway you needed.
Yeah.
But
should be fine.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we can. I think we can sort that out.
I tell you what, would be a cracking venue for the Hurricane, and for members fly-in would be Oaksey.
Oh, I know it goes in and out of Oaksey quite a lot. I've seen the photos of it.
That's like 1,000 meters of absolutely beautiful grass.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I will speak to Andrew.
Yeah. Well, I probably need to speak to James first.
True, yeah.
James. Anyway, have you told everyone why they should join?
No, because the price is going to go up. So it's £7.50 a quarter, or in fact, no, buy the £30 full year. That will be the best value. It will lock your price in for a good period of time before the price goes up. So join the Flyer Club, flyer.co.uk.
Yep. Some big changes ahead to Flyer Club and the way we do things. So they'll be with us in sometime in the next, who knows, maybe 6-ish weeks. Trying to commit a few people to a few things there, but they're imminent. We've been working on quite a lot behind the scenes. So if you're not a member, join now. It makes a lot of sense. Trust me, it'll make a lot of sense. And there's no risk anyway. If you don't like it, you can get a refund. So I think that's about it, isn't it? So thank you. Unless anyone's got anything else, thank you very much, team. Thank you very much for coming along and joining us, everybody out there. Have a great weekend's flying. Stay safe. And we hopefully... Club members, we might see you next Wednesday afternoon. Otherwise, we'll see you all Thursday evening. Next Thursday evening. Yep. Thank you very much. We're getting towards the end of dry January then. So, thank you very much and see you soon.
Fly safe, everyone.
Indeed.